take a preliminary breath test for me? Just yes or no.
I don't want to refuse anything.
It's yes or no. It's completely up to you.
Rashard Brooks, did you see about that? Yeah. The cops come up.
Yeah, put your hands on your butt.
And when they tried to arrest him, he starts fighting them off.
Stop!
And I thought about what I told you about you have an encounter with the police, like your job is to live through the encounter.
Yeah.
For Solomon Jones Jr., difficult conversations like this one with his 15-year-old son aren't optional. They're essential.
But then I thought about how George Floyd was cooperative and he still died. So it's like, what do we do?
Yeah.
We call it The Talk, a discussion black parents have had with their children for generations, now rooted in a new sense of urgency as the list of black men and women known to have been killed by police continues to grow.
They look at you, they just see a young black man. And whatever prejudice they bring to that, you know, that's what they bring.
In recent weeks, a coalition of black and white Americans from coast to coast have taken to the streets demanding racial equality and justice. At a time when many across this country are wondering if this will be a turning point for progress, we revisited two families that we've previously spent time with during flashpoints around race and policing in America to see if anything has changed for them this time.
It's so sad that it took another person dying to actually get to the point of where people are like, oh, we should be doing more about this.
Aiden, Kaye, and Solomon Jones III are teenagers growing up in middle-class households in the Philadelphia area. They both have dedicated fathers who are married, college-educated. We first met them 6 years ago.
Hello.
Both boys just 10 years old. It was December 2014. Daniel and Aiden were putting the finishing touches on their favorite winter tradition, Christmas lights.
We've got Christmas trees, mini Christmas trees, a big one in my bedroom, but there's a twist.
What is that?
We're Jewish.
But as holiday cheer filled their hearts, our nation was erupting in protest and anger after the deaths of Michael Brown and Eric Garner at the hands of police, which caused this little boy to ask big questions.
Dad, what's going on in Ferguson?
Do you talk about that in school? Like, did any of the kids ever say anything?
Yeah, it's been brought up. Our teacher brought it up.
You can't say, you know, all police are this or all police are that. You know, they're our friends and they work really hard to protect our community. But, you know, you have to be honest that there are problems.
Certainly when I was a boy, right, your parents, in my case my mom, you had like the sex talk, right?
Yeah.
But in my house, we also had the race talk.
Right.
Do you guys ever have that conversation here?
No, we don't, except when something happens.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on the 900.
For Solomon Jones Jr., a popular Philadelphia radio host, the race talk has always been a running dialogue with his son.
If you get stopped by the police, even if you feel like they stopped you for no reason, like harassing you, just be polite. Just get out of the situation so you can come home. And then we can file charges against them later.
Statistically speaking, black men are 2.5 times more likely to be killed by police than whites.
You saw what happened with Eric Garner. When that happened, how did it make you feel?
It made me feel sad.
Why do you think that happened to Eric Garner?
Because the policeman hated, like, African Americans.
Do you really think that's why he did that?
Yeah.
Nearly 2 years later, in 2016, the Kays and the Joneses welcomed us back. The boys were getting bigger. But so were the country's problems. This time, the names in the headlines were Alton Sterling and Philando Castile, shot dead by police 1 day apart. Their deaths impacted both boys very differently.
I haven't seen the videos, but I mean, I've definitely heard about the shootings.
Did you see the video of the man who died in Louisiana?
Yes.
The man who died in Minnesota?
Yes.
How did that hit you?
Pretty hard. It was like, I guess, sad to think about. Like, what if that happened to my dad?
Woo! Today, in the wake of George Floyd's death, Solomon III is still asking that same question.
Think about you.
And I'm worried for my friends too, because when they get stopped, if they get stopped, I hope they don't get hurt.
He's now 15, his age marked by budding facial hair and a deeper voice, but also by wisdom.
I did my research. I listened to my dad more. I listened to my mom.
It's a good accent.
Aiden is now 16. His naivete is gone as well.
I was looking back at the previous times that we were on here, and I saw myself as more of like a happy sort of, you know, just kind of giggly, but not really understanding what was going on. As I've gotten older, I've become much more aware of what's going on.
But just like America's racial divide, these two families, all good people, see the exact same events through very different lenses.
Have either of you watched the George Floyd tape?
Absolutely,
Yes.
repeatedly. That video was so jarring that I needed to see it and need to remember it.
I've definitely made a point to familiarize myself with it.
From your perspective, what's so different about the George Floyd incident from all the other videotapes of lethal encounters?
The officer on top of him and just looking with his hands in his pockets. There didn't seem to be any compassion for what was happening.
Have you all seen the video?
Yes, I've seen parts of it. It's hard for me to watch 9 minutes of a person dying.
It hurts to see a black man like me have somebody's knee on their neck for 9 minutes.
Have you ever seen yourself under the officer's knee?
I haven't. I definitely haven't. I mean, I've never thought of it like that, and I because I feel that what happened there was just so racially fueled.
Have you guys been to a rally?
I work in the healthcare field, and we're very concerned with COVID and bringing it back to my work. I would like to do it. It's just right now the obligation is elsewhere.
I've led a protest around racism and policing.
We will not have racist police patrolling our streets.
I think that when the moment calls for it, you have to step up and do what you have to do for your community.
I understand that as we talk about race and policing and violence, there was a moment that touched you all in a very personal way.
My friend got shot and killed in South Philadelphia. He got into an argument with somebody, and the said person pulled out a firearm.
It hurt, but it scared me into action. We started an organization called Man Up PHL. And when I went to the funeral and this little boy was in the casket in his school uniform, I'm looking at my son.
Aiden is a good kid. He's a good kid and he's a white kid. Do you think that gives him any advantage over the young man we talked to, Solomon III, who was also a good kid, but he's a black kid?
Yeah, I do.
How does that truth hit your heart?
It breaks my heart.
Both fathers and sons are aware of difficult truths, but how they respond to them is strikingly different.
A phrase that you all said about where this moment has placed you, and the phrase was willing to listen. And when I talked to the Solomons, their truth was scared into action. What does that say to you?
I mean, hearing that just now, like, just processing that internally is just, that's crazy. Like, all we're doing is listening.
Listening is a start, but the bridge to mending America's racial divide may well take more from all sides. As the African proverb makes clear, it isn't enough to pray. Believers must also move their feet.
I want to find some way to support to change this a little faster, to speed up this process so I can see it in my lifetime.
Your dad and I, when we were younger men, we thought a lot of this was dealt with. But yet your generation is burdened by the same thing.
The people before my generation did everything they could to fight it, and I feel like it's our responsibility to carry it on.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.